All right, howdy, everyone. Frankie here. New West Reset. Hello, how's it going? Welcome back. Thank you very much once again for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one. Another live, New West Reset Live, episode 125. Is that right? 125 already? Wow. Anyways, thank you for joining me here. We're going to be looking at what I think is going to become a new series on the lives here. It's the old world on celluloid, kind of taking a modern lens, hindsight being 2020 and all that. And have a look back at films, maybe television, and see if it gives us hints as to, back then, what's going to be coming up in now, in modern times, or perhaps in the near future. This is a little project that Terri Light and myself have been working on here behind the scenes for a couple of months. And we're going to start it off with Pinocchio. Yeah, the little wooden boy, Pinocchio. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. Sunday, June 29th, 2025. Where has June gone? Don't even know. Just a wee bit past 5 p.m. It's local time, mountain time. Because as always, we're coming at you live from Calgary in Purdy, Alberta. Yes, that's right. Southwestern Alberta, up in Canada land, eh? So welcome. 25 degrees Celsius out there today. Beautiful day. Warm, a little breezy. So, you don't feel like you're being cooked, being fried like bacon. What kind of bacon, Frankie? Well, Canadian bacon there, eh? 25 Celsius is roughly, it's like low 80s Fahrenheit for all my American friends. So not scorching, but nice. Not a cloud in the sky, big, beautiful blue skies. So thank you for winding down your weekend here. Sunday fun day, don't you know? Woo! If you haven't already, maybe give a fella one of these, it just helps to push me out into the thing, out into the algorithms is. All the support is greatly appreciated. We're getting close. We're creeping up on 2,000 subscribers. So thanks to all of you. Got a bunch of new friends here that have joined the channel recently. So welcome and howdy to all of you. Strap in. Get ready for shenanigans. That's all I could say. Links below for everything we're going to be covering, as well as how you can get a hold of a guy on my socials and whatnots, email and so on and so forth, BitChute. And of course, over on that green fighting platform, the Bumble, because we're broadcasting simultaneously in stereo on the HooTubes and the Bumble. If you're watching this after the live, thanks a lot, eh? Thanks for all your support as well, because I know these could be a fair chunk of time, a couple hours. So really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Whew. It was a long week. It was a long week. So thank you for joining me. Oh, my favorite day of the week. Thank you, my friends. Say hello. Let me know how you're doing there in the box. Realm Dweller, speaking of Rumble, over on the Rumble, where does one run to when the entire region is shaking? Yes, making reference to Reset 1700, my upcoming documentary film. Let's keep your ocular sphericals locked onto the channel for that. Trailers will be coming up soon with some more info as to the release date. But yes, welcome, Realm Dweller. Good to see you. Kathy Broughton is here. Howdy, Kathy. Hello, hello. The Mothman. Not the Mothman is here. Howdy. Ah, there she is, Terri Light. Hello, Terri. Good to see you. Channel Fitty Tree is here. Thanks for shooting in there, bot. Hello, hello. Oh, who do we have here? Title! That's who. Title's here. Hello, Title. Scott Pike in the box. Howdy. Old World Michigan is here as well. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see all of you. Water the tree. Evening. Baja. Howdy, Baja. Hello, hello. So, yeah, we're looking at this this thing. Cousin Vinny, where is he? Boom, there he is. Spent all day reorganizing the house for a 19-year-old cat who can't jump anymore. Still ongoing. We'll be listening, though. That's quite the project. That is quite the project. Anybody who's a cat owner or has owned cats in the past, yeah. I do not currently own a cat, but I have owned a cat in the past. One of them there Maine Coon cats. He weighed almost 40 pounds, y'all. He was as smart as a whip, sharp as a tack, whatever that expression is. I don't know. Ubu knows what I'm talking about. Ubu Khan is here. Howdy. So yeah, that's, cats are just, people think dogs are high maintenance in some ways. Sure. I mean, I've owned both. Dogs, you can't really leave them alone for extended periods of time, right? A cat, you can put out, 3 or 4 days worth of food and water and make sure the litter box is freshly changed and clean and all that before you, I don't know, go camping for a 3-day long weekend or something. Dog, you can't do that. You can't leave 3 days worth of food out for a dog. Dog will just eat it all in one go and then more than likely barf it up somewhere. Preferably on your carpet if you have carpet, because that's the best. Anyway, I don't know where all that was going, but thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. As per usual, as mentioned, links below. We're going to look at the Wikipedia, of course. If you're new to the channel, why go to the Wikipedia? Well, that's because that's what most people do, right? When they're like, wait, Pinocchio was made in what year? 1940? No, I don't believe you. So they're going to beep, 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 do on their phone or their mobile device. And they're just going to go to, more than likely, they're not even going to, these days, most folks I don't think are even going to bother going to Wikipedia. They're just going to go to the AI on the Goggle machine. Hey, Google, when was Pinocchio? 1940. Okay, now I believe it. It's usually how it goes, right? Chassie Nix is here. Howdy, Chassie. Hello, hello. So yeah, that's why I tend to reference the Wikipedia. And that most other online articles, they cut and paste with very slight editing and alteration. They cut and paste what's on the Wikipedia anyways. So even if you try to cross-reference it, like this is almost word for word plagiarism. What the hell's going on around here? What in the Sam Steele is happening? Oh, that's a bummer. Sorry to hear that. Water the Tree says, buried my cat of 18 years a month ago. She never saw the vet. Wow, that's hardy. That's a hardy cat. Good on you, and good on that cat. Holy smokes. Almost 2 decades, nothing but net. Never having to go to the vet. Because once you go to the vet a couple too many times, it's just like any other medical expert, right? And I'm no medical expert, so, I'm just some guy up in Canada land babbling, but you always got to get second, third opinions if you can. And the vet's no different. We don't know what's going on inside. What's making them things tick inside? What are we, some kind of psychopathic serial killer that starts hacking open cats to see how they work? No, I would say a very large majority of us are not. So you got the vet says, oh, it's the pituitary gland. No, it's the, it's the glandular lobe of the, and you're like, sure, okay. I don't know. Best I could do is go to the library and look up some old veterinary textbook. Can a dummy in the box. Everybody drinking the Kool-Aid AI. Yeah, the cool AI. Yeah, it's, that's what it is, right? The online AI that answers your questions, or the Wikipedia. It's all the same. That's why I reference it. Besides, some of the stuff they try to pass off as fact on the Wikipedia is hilarious. Anyway. So if not for anything else, it's just good for shits and giggles. So speaking of which, and without further ado, rather than blabbering on about it, let's just see what says about Pinocchio here. You know the original Pinocchio, by the way, not the we'll look at the Disney version as well, the film itself, but the original story of Pinocchio is terrifying. This is a children's story? Wow. Yikes. Needless to say, old Walt toned it down a scotch to make it into a family film cartoon feature film because wow-wee. Anyway, let's get this dumpster fire underway here and see what they say. So Pinocchio, now this is about the official story here, okay? It says right there, this article is about the original Carlo Collodi fictional character. So Pinocchio, Italian Pinocchio, is a fiction. I don't know why I pronounced it like that. It's the same thing. Pinocchio. Mamma mia. Pinocchio. Not to be confused with Finocchio. Whoa, hey, take it easy. But anyway, he's a fictional character and a protagonist of the children's novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio, 1883, by Italian writer Carlo Collodi of Florence in Tuscany. Florenzia, oh, molto bene. Molto, molto bene, Florenzia. Sì? Hai capito? Sorry. Pinocchio was carved by a poor man named Geppetto in a Tuscan village. Okay, so far it's, neck and neck here with what I know of the Pinocchio. The Walt animated. But anyways, he's created a wooden puppet, but dreams of becoming a real boy. He's known for his long nose when grows when he lies. All right, sure. MODOK in the box. Howdy, howdy. Welcome. So his story has been adapted to many other media, notably 1940 Disney film Pinocchio. Collodi often used the Italian Tuscan dialect in his book. The name Pinocchio is possibly derived from the rare Tuscan form Pinocchio, or pine nut, or constructed from pino, pine tree or pine wood, and occhio, eye. So wooden eye or pine nut. Probably pine nut. Pinocchio, I don't know. All this to do with his nose growing like a tree grows from a pine nut. I don't know. It's strange, right? All the time we hear these stories. They give you a kind of a, I guess, pretty good history into something, okay, he often used the Italian or Tuscan dialect of Italian in his books and yada yada, and 1883 and so on. Okay. But we don't know what Pinocchio actually means. It could mean this, it could mean that. E che l'altro, ha capito? Mamma mia. I'm so confused. Fictional character description. Pinocchio's characterization varies across interpretations, but several aspects are consistent across all adaptations. He's a animated sentient puppet. His maker is Geppetto, and Pinocchio's nose grows when he lies. Yeah, okay, 3 for 3. That's the Pinocchio hat trick, is what that is right there. Three for 3 right there. Pinocchio is known for having a short nose that becomes longer when he's under stress or especially lying. In the original tale, Collodi describes as a rascal or an imp or a scapegrace. Never heard that expression before. Mischievous or wayward person, disgrace, ragamuffin, and confirmed rogue. With even his father, carpenter Geppetto, referring to him as a wretched boy. Oh, that's nice. It's nice. So see, right, here we go, the name. You're the one that made him, Geppetto. So don't victim blame there, eh, bud? You made him that way, and now you're calling him names. It's saying that he's a wretched boy and a ragamuffin, a scapegrace. He's a wretched boy immediately at birth. Pinocchio laughs derisively in his creator's face, whereupon he steals the old man's wig. Kind of serves you right for wearing a toupee. Just saying. Probably not fooling anybody. That thing. That's right, Scott. Puppet abuse. That's PA. It's very, I don't know. Let's call it. I made you this way, and now I'm going to criticize you, Pinocchio. Pinocchio's bad behavior, rather than being charming or endearing, is meant to serve as a warning. Collodi originally intended the story, which was first published in June of '81 in the children's magazine Giornale per i Bambini, in other words, the baby's journal or the children's journal, to be a tragedy. It concluded with the puppet's deletion. Wowee. You see? Read that to your kid before tucking him in and kiss him on the forehead. Good night, Junior. Yeah, no. Don't worry about it. Night terrors will not ensue at all. It's fine. Your kid will be perfectly fine if you read them this horrifying story. Pinocchio's enemies. How's a puppet who's just being created and becomes sentient and who's a scamp all of a sudden have enemies, a fox and a cat. They bind his arms, pass a noose around his throat, and dangle him from the branch of an oak tree. Yoips. This is a child's tale. Like I said, old Walt, bless him. He toned it down a bit. You know, yeesh. He toned her down a smidge. Anyways, what's this here? A little quote I'm thinking or something. A tempestuous northerly wind began to blow and roar angrily, and it beat the poor puppet from side to side, making him swing violently, like the clatter of a bell ringing for a wedding. Ooh, there's a charming image for your next wedding there. Any wedding planners out there in the box watching? Howdy, Vaughn. Howdy. Welcome. And the swinging gave him atrocious spasms. His breath failed him, and he could say no more. He shut his eyes, opened his mouth, stretched his legs, gave a long shudder, and hung stiff and insensible. Good night, Johnny. Sweet dreams. Thanks for reading me that story, Ma. I'll be just fine as I scream in the night. Wow. Staying over at your grandma's house, and she's, getting ready to tuck you in to bed. She says, go to grandma's bookshelf. and pick a book and I'll read you a bedtime story. So you pick the original version of Pinocchio from the 1880s that she's got there on the shelf. And you crawl into the bed there in the guest bedroom, and grandma or nonna, Italian, right? Nonna, old Nana, tucks you in and starts reading you this nightmare. Yikes. Pinocchio is a wooden marionette, a puppet that's manipulated with wires or strings. And it's not a hand puppet, directly controlled from inside of the puppeteer's hand. Like Jim Henson's Muppets, bless him. Good old Jim Henson. However, the piece of wood from which he is derived is animated, and so Pinocchio moves independently. He often gets carried away by bad company and is prone to lying. His nose becomes longer when lying to others. Because of these characteristics, he often finds himself in trouble. Pinocchio transforms in the novel. He promises the fairy with turquoise hair. Oh, geez, that sounds like an alphabet person in today. Oh, fairy with turquoise. A fairy with turquoise hair. Hey, I didn't say it. Okay? The Wikipedia article is saying it. I didn't say anything about fairies with turquoise hair in a morality tale.
I wet my jockeys here.
Anyways, moving along. He promised if to become a real boy, flies with Candlewick to the land of toys, becomes a donkey, joins a circus, and becomes a puppet again. In the last chapter, out of the mouth of the terrible dogfish with Geppetto, Pinocchio finally stops being a puppet and becomes a real boy, thanks to the intervention of the fairy in a dream. In the novel, Pinocchio is often depicted with a pointy hat, a jacket, and a pair of colored knee-length pants. Culottes. Yeah, there's a picture. Yeah, there he is. Sure. With the little ruffled neck piece, whatever the Sam Steele that's supposed to be. Oh yeah, there's the big fish. There's the fox and the cat. There's a serpent here, it looks like, for some reason. Yee. Anyway. Clothing and character. Pinocchio is a woodman. Okay, right. Okay, we get that. Nose. Pinocchio's nose, best known characteristic, grows in length when he tells a lie. But also in the book, it was first carved by Geppetto. So when he first carves him, his nose just grows. The nose is mentioned in only a couple of times in the book, but it reveals the blue fairy's power over Pinocchio when he acts disobediently. After the boy struggling and weeping over his deformed nose, the blue fairy summons woodpeckers to peck it back to normal. Oh, that's terrifying. Birds peck at a part of your face, a protrusion of your face, your proboscis. As Jimmy Durante. Now I'm really aging myself. Who is Jimmy Durante? He was the guy who used to sing like this and had a great big nose. Anyway, it's probably going over most people's heads. I'll just keep moving along here. By the way, they're saying blue fairy. I thought it was turquoise. Anyway. So it's been portrayed in a lot of media. 1894, 1913, 03, 05, 17, 28, Puppet Parade, all kinds of short stories, novels. Astro Boy. Sure, why not have Pinocchio and Astro Boy? It's been in comics, comic strips and newspapers. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's right, Terry. Gee, a serpent. Yeah, it does, right? That's what I kind of think of, that ruffly neck piece. I think of Shakespeare for some reason. Probably because of that goofy painting or sketch or whatever of Shakespeare that we always see. Anyways, when Walt Disney Productions was developing the story for their film version of Pinocchio in 1940, they intended to keep the obnoxious aspects of the original character. But Walt Disney himself, bless him, felt that this made the character too unlikable, so alterations were made to incorporate traits of mischief and innocence to make Pinocchio more likable. Yeah, he just got into mischief because he was innocent and he didn't know. They're like, I don't know what that is over there. So what's this? And he just goes and touches it. Hey, don't touch that. Oh, okay. But he's not a ragamuffin. Ragamuffin. I always think of Jamaican folks when I hear ragamuffin for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, I think that was a good call by Uncle Walt there. Pinocchio was voiced by Dickie Jones. Today, the film is considered one of the finest Disney features ever made and one of the greatest animated films of all time. In the video game adaptation of the film, Pinocchio lives out mostly the same roles as the film, traveling through the world filled with temptations and experiencing various forces. There's a video game of Pinocchio on the Sega Genesis, going back to 96. Really? Huh. Who would have thought? An imp or a homunculus. Yeah, well, that's another term, right? It's kind of a theory that a homunculi was also termed an imp. Imps, fairies, all kinds of sprite. Is that another one? Even though they also called sprites those odd lights in the sky, if I'm not mistaken. The Disney incarnation was later used in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, voiced by Peter Westy, and House of Mouse, voiced by Michael Wells, as well as making cameo appearances, Aladdin, Teacher Pet Tangle, yada, 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 yada. Okay, sure. Yeah, been in all kinds of movies, so on and so forth. Foreign films. Spielberg influenced TV. Yeah, everywhere. So yeah, there you go. Links below. The Wikipedia reference to the Pinocchio. Let's look at the film actually itself here real quick. At least what Wikipedia says about the 1940 film. See what's going on with that. Don't you love it, by the way? That honking outside is the somebody setting their car alarm. Don't you love it when others are walking away? Bop, bop. Yeah. And then bop, bop, bop. You already set the alarm. Why did you unset it only to reset it? I'm just checking. Yeah, well, now your horn is making a racket. So the 1940 Disney film Pinocchio, obviously it's an American animated musical fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Productions and released by RKO. They also did the King Kong, loosely based on Carlo Collodi's 1883 Italian children's novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio, the studio's second animated feature film, as well as the third animated film overall produced by an American film studio. After Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937, wow, did they ever bastardize and destroy that recently, by the way. And Fleischer Studios' Gulliver's Travels. Huh. There you go. Anyways, gives you the voices and yada yada. The film follows a wooden puppet. Pinocchio was created by an old wood carver, Geppetto, brought to life by a blue fairy. Wishing to become a real boy, Pinocchio must prove himself to be brave, truthful, and unselfish. Along with his journey, Pinocchio encounters several characters representing temptations and consequences of wrongdoing. As a cricket named Jiminy, I always thought that was weird even as a kid. Is it Jimmy? No, Jiminy. Are you saying Jimmy? No, I'm saying Jiminy. Like chimney? Like chimmery? Like what kind of mumbo jumbo pidgin English jargon, pig Latin, cockamamie stuff is going on over in these Disney films? Nobody speaks proper English. Your name's Jimmy. No, it's Jiminy. All right. You're the cricket. You're okay. Whatever you say, conscience guy. So he takes the role of his conscience and attempts to guide him in matters of right and wrong and fails miserably. Poor Jiminy. So there's no cricket, there's no conscience, there's no devil and angel sitting on his shoulders in the book. So this is a creation of Walt Disney Studios, I'm guessing. The writers, or maybe Walt himself. Film was adapted by several storyboard artists from Collodi's book. Production was supervised by, all these guys. Sure, okay. It was a groundbreaking achievement in the area of effects animation, giving realistic movement to vehicles, machinery, as well as natural elements such as rain, water, lightning, smoke, and shadow. Well, this doesn't sound very child-friendly either. Disney version. Oh, how's that Disney Pinocchio? Oh, it's great. It's got rain and water and lightning, smoke and shadows. It sounds horrifying for a child. Anyways, it was released in theaters February 23rd, 1940. Right during WW2, by the way. I mean, technically, the U.S. wasn't officially involved at this point. Not until the whole, Harbor of Pearls incident. That's a terrible way of trying to get around the algorithm, but you know what I'm getting at. Yumpin' Yiminy, says Canada. Right? It's just some kind of weird, crazy, cockamamie mumbo jumbo. Although it received critical acclaim, it became the first animated feature to win a competitive Academy Award, winning 2 for Best Music, Original Score, and for Best Music Original Song for When You Wish Upon a Star. It was initially a commercial failure, mainly due to WW2 cutting off the European and Asian markets. Sure, people in London got much better things to do than go and see an American cartoon film in the theater. I'd say we're getting bombed by the Luftwaffe, don't you understand? I'm not having time to watch your kiddie show. By God, man. What's wrong with you?
I think I can smell shite. Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. It eventually made a profit after its 1945 re-release and was considered one of the greatest animated films ever made, with a 100% rating on the website Rotten Tomatoes. Really, 100%. You know what? Back when Disney was good, before they started butchering all kinds of stuff, and then when they ran out of stuff to butcher, they started butchering all their own stuff. I'm going to do a live action version of this already classic movie that never needed to be redone or changed in any way, shape, or form. Why? Why would you do that? So I can make it shittier? Oh, okay. That sounds about right.
That doesn't make sense.
It's kind of a bass-backwards way of thinking, if you ask me, but anyway. The film and characters are still prevalent, in popular culture, featuring various Disney parks to other forms of entertainment. In 1994, Pinocchio was added to the United States National Film Registry for being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Keep that in mind, that it's aesthetically significant as we move further along in the show. Aesthetics, or the treatment of aesthetics, becoming very important, very, very important indeed. Vaughn in the chat says, God bless Disney for my early indoctrination hugs. Yeah. You know what? We all kind of grew up, I think, if we're all of a certain age, let's say between late 30s and late 60s, that 3-decade gap. Talking, your age, if you're in your late 30s to your late 60s. Exceptions, of course, but generally speaking. You remember the wonderful world of Disney on, at least for me in Canada land, it was on Sunday evenings. It was the only time we were allowed to eat dinner in front of the television. Otherwise, forget it. You're sitting down at the table, on your butt, on your seat. Sit properly. Quit goofing around and eat your dinner now. Stop goofing off, eh? Decisive Point History in the box says, this is awesome. Saw you on Lucius Aurelian. Glad to be here. Well, glad to have you. Thank you very, very much for shooting in, joining a guy here on the live show. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Always good to see new faces, make new friends here on the channel. As I mentioned at the top of this show, buckle up for the shenanigans, because you know how it is. Yeah, no slurping, Ubukan in the box says. That's right. Sit up straight. Put your napkin in your lap. Quit horsing around now. That was my dad. Quit horsing around. Quit horsing around. And then he'd show you the back of his hand with his arm cocked like he was going to backhand you, but he never did. Bless his heart. So yeah, back when Disney was, before they were whatever they are morphed into now. Some kind of yeesh. In 2000, speaking of terrible, here we go. A live action made for television semi-remake and musical film titled Geppetto, told from Geppetto's perspective, was released via ABC. A live action remake of the same title, directed by Robert Zemeckis, was released in 2022 on Disney Plus. It's not the one with what's his name there, Hanky? Tom Hanks. Terrible. God awful. So in a sleepy village in Italy, Jiminy Cricket arrives at the shop of a woodworker and toy maker named Geppetto, who creates a puppet he names Pinocchio, even though we still don't know exactly what it means, but he named it. So it's a secret he took to his grave, I guess. As he falls asleep, Geppetto wishes upon a star for Pinocchio to be a real boy. Late that night, the Blue Fairy visits the workshop and brings Pinocchio to life, although he remains a puppet. She informs him that he proves himself to be brave, yada, yada, okay, he'll be a real boy. Jiminy reveals himself. Blue Fairy says, I assign you to be Pinocchio's conscience. He's like, wait a sec, I was just kind of chilling here in the background. I'm just a cricket, lady. Like, I don't have all these weird sorcerer's powers like you do there, Blue Lady. The wand and all that, and the tiara and the glowing fairy dust and whatnot. Just a cricket. It's nighttime. I'm doing cricket stuff. We come out at night, we rub the legs together. The cricket noise. Now all of a sudden you're drafting me into something I was Jiminy, I'd be like, you know what? I'm sorry. Points at his watch. Sorry, I gotta skedaddle. Don't have time to be babysitting a wooden boy. So Geppetto wakes upon hearing the commotion. Pinocchio, I called him Pinocchio. Oh, mamma mia! Scusi, molto scusi. And he's overjoyed to discover that he's alive and will become a real boy. The next morning while walking to school, right away he's got to go to school. Like the next morning, really? No, let's sit you down and say, okay, now here's the thing. Okay, this is called a house. This is the kitchen. Just don't even show them the basics of nothing. These are your legs, your hands, your feet, your arms. 2 eyes, 1 nose, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Nope, just all right. Time to get up and off to school you go. Does he even know what school is? But anyways, Geppetto not wasting any time pawning the kid off in the public education system. Pinocchio, it's one of the ironic names, I guess. And his sidekick, Gideon, the cat. Honest John convinces him to join Stromboli's puppet show, despite Jiminy's protestations. Pinocchio, well, it's how far you think you're going back there? This is the fairy's fault. You put a tiny cricket in charge. And no offense, but I mean, I'm not a big guy either, but who's this cricket going to stop? Pinocchio's the size of a real child old enough to go to school. I'm assuming Jiminy is the size of a cricket. This fairy's been making bad decisions right out of the gates, everyone. Right out of the gates. Pinocchio becomes Stromboli's star attraction, but when he tries to go home, Stromboli locks him in a bird cage. Yeah, I think I remember that, yeah. And leaves to tour the world with Pinocchio. After Jiminy unsuccessfully tries to free his friend, the Blue Fairy appears, and an anxious Pinocchio lies about what happened, causing his nose to grow and become a tree branch with a bird's nest. Well, if that, just get that bird to, it's a woodpecker, according to the original story, you could just peck away at it. So you kind of want the bird's nest to grow on your nose, because then the solution is built in. The Blue Fairy restores his nose and frees Pinocchio when he promises to make amends. But she warns him that she can offer him no further help. Okay, that's it. This was your first and only bailout. Everybody gets one do-over. Everybody gets one mulligan. After that, you're on your own. Meanwhile, the mysterious coachman hires Honest John to find disobedient and naughty boys for him to take to, brace yourself, Pleasure Island, a notorious and infamous place. Honest John, despite the legal risks and the coachman's implication of what happens to the boys, he accepts the job out of fear and finds Pinocchio, persuading him to take a vacation on Pleasure Island. On the way to the island, Pinocchio befriends Lampwick, also sometimes known as Candlewick or Candle Flame. Anyways, it's another, excuse me. It's another delinquent boy. At Pleasure Island, without rules or authority to enforce their activity, Pinocchio, Lampwick, and many other boys soon engage in vices such as vandalism, fighting, smoking, and drinking. My goodness, that would even shock Gimli from The Lord of the Rings. Drinking and smoking. Bro. Their salted pork is particularly good. Salted pork. Anyways, Jiminy, I went off on a weird tangent there. Jiminy eventually finds Pinocchio in a bar, smoking and playing pool with Lampwick. And the two have a falling out after Pinocchio defends Lampwick for his actions. As Jiminy tries leaving Pleasure Island, he discovers that the island hides a horrible curse that transforms the boys into donkeys after making jackasses, quote unquote, of themselves. And they are sold by the coachman into slave labor. Okay, so let me get this straight, Walt. There's a coachman. You know, coach as in stage coach, or today modern, those big modern buses, right? Like a Greyhound bus, for example, is considered a coach. Right? The Greyhound company is a coach line. So, you know, coaches, whether they be modern buses or old-timey coaches, as in wagons, horse and wagon, stage coaches, whatnot, it's forms of transportation. So a coachman would be a transporter. You know, he would be involved in various forms of traffic, the trafficking of certain commodities to and from an island. Is that what you're telling me? And this island is known as Pleasure Island. Is that what it is? Of course, when you click on Pleasure Island, it says, no, there's no page for that. It's called the Land of Toys. They don't feel comfortable referring to it was Pleasure Island anymore.
Shenanigans.
Terri Light. This is a timely story, isn't it? Yeah. Again, this is a children's bedtime story, so it's totally fine. You can read this to your children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews, no problem. It's fine. It's not horrific in any way, shape, or form. Almost as bad as the original, really. Canadummy says Lampwick was a gaslighter. Yeah. Yeah. Jeez. Okay, anyways. So they're sold into slave labor. That's terrible. It's not good. No, it's not good for anybody. Pinocchio witnesses Lampwick transform into a donkey, and with Jiminy's help, he flees before he can be fully transformed himself, though he has the donkey's ears and tail. Yeah, I remember that too. I'm not old enough to have seen this in the theater, by the way, but I do remember seeing this as a kid. So it would have been pre-VHS, because by the time VHS and video stores were commonplace, I was already kind of in my early teens. So it was definitely before that. So it may have been a re-release in theaters. Because I remember seeing this as a kid. And I do remember the ears and tail. Poor Pinocchio. Upon returning home, Pinocchio and Jiminy find Geppetto's workshop deserted and obtain a letter from the Blue Fairy in the form of a dove, stating that Geppetto had sailed to Pleasure Island in search for Pinocchio, but got swallowed by a gigantic and vicious sperm whale called Monstro, and is now trapped in its belly. Determined to rescue his father, Pinocchio jumps into the Mediterranean Sea with Jiminy, and is soon swallowed by Monstro. Of all the whales, what are the odds, eh? Just of all the thousands of whales in the Mediterranean Sea, does the Mediterranean even have whales? I don't know. I'm asking. I'm just a sheltered, innocent, naive Canadian here, people. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the Mediterranean Sea doesn't have whales in it. But anyway, what are the odds that it just happens to be Monstro that it's a dogfish? I thought it was a sperm whale. Which one is it now? It's the largest of the toothed whales. Toothed. Determined to rescue his father, he jumps into the Mediterranean Sea with Jiminy and swallowed by Monstro, and reunites with Geppetto. Pinocchio, devises a scheme to make Monstro sneeze and allow them to escape, but the whale chases them and destroys their raft with his tail. How did he build a? What is he? What is Pinocchio? MacGyver? They don't say how he sneezes or how he makes it sneeze, and what he built the raft out of. Anyways, the whale destroys the raft with his tail. Pinocchio selflessly pulls Geppetto to safety in a cove just as Monstro crashes into it, and Pinocchio is deleted. See? Children's story, bedtime story. It's fine. It's completely fine. Not a problem whatsoever. Dragon Sage is here. Howdy, Sage. How's she going there, bud? Good to see you. He's out in Montreal right now, so go check his channel for all kinds of good content. But right now he's in Montreal, heel-toeing it around there, getting his Brian blown. Yeah, Montreal's it's on another level there, eh, bud? Sure, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So back at home, Geppetto, Jiminy, Figaro, and Cleo. Who the Sam Steele is Figaro and Cleo? They mourn Pinocchio. Having succeeded in proving himself brave, truthful, and unselfish, Pinocchio is revived and turned into a real human boy by the Blue Fairy, much to everyone's joy. As the group celebrates, Jiminy steps outside to thank the fairy and is rewarded with a solid gold badge that certifies him as an official conscience. After all that, here's a hunk of gold for you, Cricket. Again, I have to remind you, I'm a cricket. I didn't ask for this. What am I going to do with gold? Anyways, film credits and so on and so forth below. We talk about the animation and the music, all of that sort of stuff. Box office still here. See, they may have re-released it or something. Aha. Theatrically re-released 78. There you go. 1978. That's what I would have been 8. It solves that. I think we had one more article to look at here real quick. And this, of course, is Pleasure Island, the land of... You can't look up on the Wikipedia Pleasure Island. It just keeps taking you to land of toys. So, all right, if you insist, might as well. Chassie's right, you know. Chassie Nix in the box says children's fairy tales back in the day were horror stories, like all of Grimm's fairy tales. Yeah, those too, right? All the Grimm's ones. Is that Hansel and Gretel, by the way? Is that a Grimm's one? I think it is, right? Because it's German. I believe it is German. Das ist Deutsche. Ja? Anyway. Terrifying, right? Captured by a witch who lure. I'm going to lure in these children with my house made of candy or whatever. Then I'm going to capture them, hold them hostage, hold them prisoner, and fatten them up and cook them and eat them, I guess. I don't know what the motivation is. Who knows the motivation of old-timey fairy tale witches these days? Eric is here. Ah, there he is. Lost and found. History rewritten. How you doing there, bud? Good to see you, eh? Hello. Ooh, ouch. Yeah, no worries, man. You don't never have to apologize, man. Don't... I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire. Hope your young fellow, your little fellow's all right. Scraping the knee is not a good time. Not a good time. Heck, you scrape your knee now, and it's like, you're like, you know, it's like Peter on Family Guy. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's get on with this wacky, goofy
shenanigans.
Land of Toys. Land of Toys, Italian, La Paesi di Bellocchi. Bellocchi. Paesi is land, yeah, country, land. Paese, like as in paesano, is countryman, right? So paese could be land, country, place. De, meaning of, or yeah. And I'm guessing Bellocchi means toy. Right? There you go. I didn't know that. It's a fictional location in the Italian novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio, 1883. That is disguised as a haven of freedom and anarchy for children, but is eventually discovered to be far more sinister. Because that's what you want in a children's story, is a bunch of sinister shit going down. Wait, what? Why? I understand I'm a good, you know, instilling good moral values in your children by leading by example and telling them good moral tales so they learn right from wrong. And they can add that to their own, you know, real life experiences and go, yeah, if I do that, that's not so good. If I do that, that's pretty good over there, right? PCS World in the box. Howdy. Welcome. So I understand, you know, all of that, but does it have to, you know, you don't necessarily have to scare the bejesus out of your child. Ooh, especially a bedtime story. Anyways, To its unsuspecting visitors like Pinocchio and Candlewick, the land of toys appears to be a fantastic haven for wayward children to do whatever they want with no consequences or law, to act as they please without recrimination. However, that's a big word for a guy. However, the truer and more sinister purpose of the land of toys is eventually revealed by means of a disease called donkey fever. Like a child is not going to know that that's just a fictional, made-up thing. Kids hear about fevers all the time. All of a sudden, they're going to think donkey fever is real. So yeah, that affects only children who never study or work. The children turn physically into donkeys. In Italian culture, the donkey is symbolic of ignorance, stupidity, goofiness, and labor. Yeah, stubborn. Donkeys are stubborn. I don't know if I would say they're stupid. They're just very stubborn. But they're strong, and a donkey can work hard. They're kind of cute. They're very territorial, though. They're very protective. I know many horse ranches and cattle ranches that keep at least one dang donkey in their pasture with all the other grazing livestock, because the donkey will go nuts if wolves come in there. A donkey will kill wolves. It's crazy. But anyways, subsequently, they get sold to the coachman to different places. Yeah, he facilitates the trafficking of these, I'm going to say it, these children. There it is. YouTube's going to shoot me out of the sky now, but there it is. There's no two ways about it, tiptoeing around it here. Jerry Ives in the box says, my neighbors have donkeys to protect their goats. Yeah, see? You see? It's yeah, look out for that donkey pox narrative. Described as the land of Cocagne, it's a land of plenty in medieval myth. Cacophony? Imaginary place of luxury and ease, comfort, and pleasure, opposite to the harshness of medieval peasant life, in poems like The Land of Cocagne? I don't know. It's a land of contraries, where all the restrictions of society are defiled. Sexual liberty is open. Oh, no. Why do you want that incorporated into a child story, you filthy sons of... Anyway. The novel implies that there's at least as large a township, although the size and nature of the location is unclear. As in Italian paese, it can mean country, land, but also town or village. Ah, there you go. Along with the land of toys, other names for the land include Pleasure Island. That's what they used in the Disney adaptation, creepily enough. It's also depicted as a large amusement park on an island. Land of Toys in the original novel. It's a representation that mixes the aspects of morality tale with those of social critique. Children, depending upon the translation of the original Italian, the novel has included both boys and girls or only boys. They're lured there by the coachman with the premise of never having to go to school or work again and being able to spend their whole time having fun. And the graffiti on the walls is proof of that. There you go again, the hints of destruction or defacing, devaluing, mocking in terms of graffiti. You know, graphic, graffiti is Italian for graphic arts, basically. In other words, you know, a graphic medium, a paint, pencil, something that's etched in charcoal etchings. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be spray paint. It doesn't have to be in like Brooklyn, son. You know, children there are described as playing with nuts, playing with battledores, type of alphabet book. Okay. Playing with balls, riding velocipedes. Oh, look at that. velocipede, a pedaling multi-wheeled machine. It's crazy. You're just riding around in their crazy penny farthings, death machines, riding wooden horses, playing hide and seek, and chasing each other. Some were dressed in straw while eating lighted tau. Tau is, I looked it up and I can't remember. Let me just see now. Search Goggle here for tau. Look it up on the online dictionary. Oh, it's yarn or cloth. It's a type of it's a type of like cash crop, almost like hemp. They make rope and stuff out of it. Sounds delicious. Some are doing some reciting. Some were singing. Some were walking on their hands. Some were trundling hoops. I can't even believe that was a thing back in the day. Like, what are you going to do? I'm going to push a hoop with a stick down the street. It's fun for hours. My friends and I do it all the time. It's great. Really? You don't want to play hopscotch or street hockey or stickball? No, I'll get the hoop and stick thing. I'm balls deep into the hoop and stick thing right now, man. It's so much fun. Really? Okay. Some are dressed as generals commanding others dressed as soldiers. Some were laughing, some were shouting, some were calling out, some were clapping their hands, some whistled. Some chuckled as if they were pretending to be hens laying eggs. Oh, clucked, excuse me, they clucked. In other words, it was pandemonium here. I'm not seeing anything wrong with singing or reciting. Walking on your hands, sure, it's good physical fitness, old-timey activities. The trundling hoops seems harmless enough, although I still can't buy that was a thing, but anyways. Playing dress-up soldiers, cops and robbers, cowboys, Indians, sure. Laughing, oh, God forbid. No laughing. Clapping your hands, you shouldn't do that, or whistle. I mean, there's only a couple things here. The shouting maybe could get out of hand. Clucking his chickens, well, that's just, again, alphabet people of today. Magic bow in the box. Howdy, welcome. Glad you said that, because there's no way I could have pronounced the rune writing. Yes, there's no way. Thank you for that, and thank you for joining. Appreciate it. There were also canvas theaters erected, which were crowded with children from morning to evening. The walls of some houses had messages on them that said, "Long live playthings. We will have no more schools. Down with arithmetic." There was also fine sentiments in bad spelling. So they erected canvas theaters, or like big top tents, basically, but theaters. These mischievous yet somehow very creative and constructive children. For a bunch of kids that are supposed to be lazy, they're sure keeping busy. Laying waste to everything that's there and repurposing it and rebuilding stuff, I'm guessing. Again, defacing, graffiti, walls of houses, messages scrawled upon them. Finally, after months of reckless abandonment, the true purpose of the land is revealed. As a result of their immodest behavior and ignorance, and what is treated almost as natural consequence, they become donkeys. Pinocchio learned of the donkey fever from a marmot. Hey man, nice marmot. That's weird. It was like a groundhog. Like right there, they're showing a ground squirrel, what we call a gopher up here in these here parts. Is it like Groundhog Day? Comes out, sees a shadow, and he catches donkey fever? I don't understand what what's going on here at all.
That doesn't make sense.
Transformation is not instantaneous, but usually happens in the span of a single day. But it takes 6 months to get to that point. This cockamamie scheme that's going on this island, it's sure they're playing the long con with these boys, I tell you what. First, the children's ears sprout into those of a donkey. First change seems to be an early symptom, for it's always several hours before the complete asinine change begins. Then in a process which the book seems to describe as painful. Well, see, that again, this is a children's story here. The children are forced to the ground in a quadrupedal stance, unable to stand upright any longer. Shades of that scene in American Werewolf in London. That really awesome scene where he's transforming into a werewolf there. Is at this point of animalistic behavior that the children's minds seem to transform into that of unthinking beasts. They begin to lose speech and run around chaotically, braying, kicking, and violently rolling until fully transformed, usually in such a violent manner as to seem crazed. However, a piece of their human minds seems to remain in the fact that they are aware that they are being humiliated. Great. It's a terrible torture. Talking about the bow building. In other words, building bows, not a structure named the bow building. But good. That's fantastic. I love the creativity and the craftsmanship. And speaking of patience in the long game, it takes a lot of patience to craft a good bow. Again, shout out to Dragon Sage as well. Let's see where we're at here. Oh yes, they're aware of their humiliation. Yikes. Then as they lash out in asinine instincts, children's hands and feet become hooves. Their faces transform into equine muzzles as they grow hair all over their bodies. The last thing that happens to them is the growth of donkey tails. This is considered the most humiliating segment of the transformation, in the fact that it signals their absolute and irreversible transformation into donkeys. See, whereas in the old Uncle Walt's version, when Pinocchio started to transform, didn't quite transform. He had just the ears and the tail. So again, they switched it up, to make it less terrifying. Still pretty freaking terrifying, but less terrifying-ish, I guess. When the children become donkeys, the coachman and his minions would sell these donkeys to farms, salt mines, circuses, and markets. The coachman sells Pinocchio to a circus and sells Candlewick to a farmer whose donkey just died. Great. Some commentators have said that the sudden yet completely clean, no graphic, obscene, or overtly scary descriptions are used. The transformation can seem terrifying to younger children. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Adaptations of the scene have been hailed as too frightening for certain age groups. You think? Adaptations. In some film versions of the story, Pinocchio is not fully transformed into a donkey. Yeah, like the Disney version. Pleasure Island. Disney's animated film Pinocchio, The Land of Toys, has been renamed Pleasure Island, though the Italian dub of the film keeps the name Paesi dei Balocchi from the novel. There you go. Paesi dei Balocchi. Yeah, so that's just weird. It's very weird. Yeah. A lot of these old-timey children's stories that are supposed to be, tales of morality. And again, I get it. Want to help reinforce those strong moral values? Sure. But bad guys use fear as a tool. Good folks reading their kids' bedtime stories, I don't think fear is the best tactic, but it was a means of the times, I guess. Yowzers. Anyways, links below for the Land of Toys / Pleasure Island and all of the creepiness that entails with Pinocchio. Yowzers. Whew. I think with that, wow, it's time to take a mid-show break. Woo! When we come back, we'll have a look at some stills, some screenshots of the 1940 film. Then we'll have a look at some of the similarities of some of those screen grabs, courtesy of Terri Light, and some of other imagery and structures that I think would be very familiar. But before we get there, of course, as per usual, time for a mid-show break. If you're new to the channel, or as a reminder, every Wednesday I upload a video, vintage footage, old-timey video that I edit to music, and I try to keep it Canadian content. Every Friday you get boots on the ground, where I traipse around Calgary or expanded into southern Alberta, maybe up to Edmonton or something. And then every Sunday, back here for the live show. And on the live show, I always give you a sneak peek of the midweek vintage footage Wednesday video. So with that said, this one is about 3.5 minutes long. And it is from 1930. Now, strap yourself in now. This is parade footage from the Calgary Stampede Parade. The Calgary Stampede, if you don't know, is coming up next week. So you're going to get a whole bunch of cowboy and rodeo-related uploads and subject matter on the channel here next week. It's actually a 10-day event. It's the world's biggest rodeo. So this is Calgary Stampede Parade footage from 1930, and as mentioned, it's about 3.5 minutes long. So we'll see you on the other side of 3.5. Stick around. Be right back. All right. Cheers, everyone. All right, and we are back. Howdy, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Thank you very much for shooting in and joining me here for another live one. New West Reset Live, episode 125 here today. We're looking at the old world on celluloid. Having a look at 1940 Disney film, animated film classic Pinocchio, and its origin story from 1883, and some of the strange, creepy shenanigans surrounding that. Thank you for joining me here. As per usual, always good to see you on this Sunday fun day. Woo! Thanks for winding down your weekend here. Give a fellow one of these if you don't mind. We're ever so close to 2,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for all of your support, everyone. Speaking of support, links below for everything we covered, as well as how you can get a hold of a fella. BitChute, MeWe, the guy's email. Of course, link to my channel over on Rumble as well, because we're broadcasting live simultaneously on the YouTubes and the Rumble. So welcome, everybody. If you're watching this after the live, after the fact, thanks for your support as well. Really appreciate that. And howdy to everybody in the chat, in the box. Channel 53 is here. Angel Dreams. Perfect timing. Welcome. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Hippie Shake. Good to see you, Hippie. Howdy, howdy. Kathy Broughton is here, as well as Baja. Good to see you. Terri Light. Terri and I have been working on this project off and on the last couple of months behind the scenes. Thanks for joining us here, Terri. Glad you could make it. Our buddy Vaughn is here as well. Howdy, Vaughn. Water the Tree, putting out some content over there. Go and check out Water the Tree. Good to see all of you here. All right, so we've got the Stampede coming up. Big rodeo thing. I love it. I'm originally from the East. I'm originally from Montreal. So the the whole cowboy thing is just very, very cool. Yeah, it's very exciting. The whole rodeo thing is a big deal. Yeah, that's right. Right out of the gates with the creepy owl in the parade. Yikes. Kathy says, yeehaw! Absolutely. Absolutely, yeehaw. I dig it. I dig the whole rodeo thing. Sherry says, I went to the Calgary Stampede. Did you really? I didn't see you there. I looked for you, too. Anyway, speaking of supporting the channel, my location map is there as well. Cousin Vinny put that together. You click on that. It opens up the goggle machine, and my icon appears everywhere on the map that I've done a boots on the ground video. Some of those buildings are no longer there, too. So a guy just caught him in the nick of time, I reckon, which is kind of nice. And, of course, the PayPal. If anybody is so generously and kindly inclined to do so, PayPal link below as well. Thank you very much. Would do me a favor if you donate to the channel on the PayPal, which I greatly appreciate, but it's not expected. I have a job, I work, so it goes to the channel. I buy the gimbal machine, so you get the steady cam instead of the shaky cam. I get new equipment, which is great. But if you're going to donate, if you're willing to share your mailing address, I'll send you a gift for donating. I'll send you a New West Reset t-shirt, don't you know? There's a few of them out there. And it doesn't matter to me. You could live in Canada land, the good old US of A. You could live in the UK or Europe or Asia, you can live down under there, mate. Crikey, I'll send you one there. So let me know. All right, let's look at some photographs here. I've got, it's only a couple dozen. But these are some screenshot grabs that Terry sent my way. And kind of put them together in this file because a lot of the imagery is very familiar. And, you know, again, a reminder, according to the Wikipedia article regarding not only the original novel, the original story in Italian, but the 1940 Disney film, the sort of reimagining. You know, there was a lot of mention of graffiti, a lot of mention of chaos and destruction, disregarding of some buildings, or repurposing of others, or rebuilding of newer structures like canvas tent theaters, which obviously is going to be, shall we say, sub-quality to what I'm assuming were the original structures on this island, Pleasure Island, creepily enough, land of toys. So something like this, for example, right? This big stately mansion palatial home in the background here. But no, we'll destroy this and then we'll build a canvas theater. Sound familiar? Destroy the beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, remember. This movie won an Academy Award and gets special considerations. Oh no, sorry, it gets special considerations and was earmarked as being culturally significant because of its aesthetics. So how ironic that in the movie itself, the aesthetically pleasing is being defaced or destroyed, and a subpar, sub-quality, lesser version of is being erected in its place by a bunch of feeble-minded, chaotic, displaced or misplaced children, whether they're literal or figurative children. So very, very, I don't know. Just sounds very familiar. Here's a better shot. And you can see here in this better shot where it's not as dark in the background. You don't just have this as the structure. No, this is just the grand entranceway, you know, with the big, huge, tall doors and the big support columns or carvings. You've got what appears to be a sort of a fancy arched door here with a leaded glass window, maybe a transom window above it. It's beautiful rose window here with all of this carved detail, columns with statues on them, and, you know, mansard style roof here. Roof? Cupola with a dome on it. Here's the ether fencing up here along the top. The mansard roof. You can see here by the angles, the swooping angles of the roof line. This beautiful banister going up these steps to this large front entranceway. All familiar hallmarks, would you say? Very reminiscent of, you know, some of the residential houses that really were castles in their own right. You know, again, with this mansard style roof line here with all of the tech on it, the domes, the big, huge arched entranceways and windows, the leaded glass. All of the carvings, the statues, you know, the big grand entranceways with the supports, and just the intricacies of the details. But worthy of destruction, or at least graffitied upon. And then, you know, put up a canvas tent theater in front of it. You know, again, this very familiar old world mansard, what they call a French sort of Renaissance period mansard roof style. Again, the arches and the grand entranceway with all the supports. And again, just amongst everything, carvings and details and dental moldings, and you name it. It's another screenshot of the stained glass with the beautiful carvings being shattered. The beautiful, again, intricate pattern and all of the work that would be involved with the different colors of glass that are in there. Not to mention in the surroundings, right? The carvings, whether it's wood or stone, makes no difference. Time consuming. Definitely checking the boxes of shades of the old world, of the past. You know, and here it is in, you know, examples of it in real life as opposed to in a cartoon film. Just absolutely exquisite. Perfect to throw a brick through, I guess. You name the color, you name the pattern, you name the design. There's examples of it everywhere. Churches, of course. Cathedrals. Exquisite. This is Notre Dame in France. All the familiar symbology. And I mean, this just, I wonder sometimes about this. You know, some tend to look way more like this. I can sort of almost buy it. It's not the face and the shading and the detail work. You could tell that it's, you know, the mother and child, you know, the Madonna and child or whatever, you know, and maybe these are all the apostles or whatever, right? Sure. You could tell that they're people, the holy images and whatnot. But, you know, all of this, the shading and all the subtle sort of gradient coloring, you know, this isn't just a solid green. It's like 3 shades of green, the golds. I mean, I wonder sometimes about how that was achieved and how so quickly it can be forgotten and how recklessly it can be abandoned and destroyed. Sometimes they'll chalk it up to earthquake or fire, but, you know, a lot of times it's vandalism. Look at this sack. Look at this. Not only here, but up here too. Now, say what you want about the validity of the story. It doesn't change the fact that, I mean, it is considered a masterpiece, and, you know, a certain level of decorum and respect is due, but no, it gets bozos like these people that like going into art galleries and museums. They're protesters. They're social justice warriors. They're paid opposition. These aren't people that are normal. Even if you don't agree with the entire official narrative behind stories like this image and it's what its value is and this and that and the other, that's fine. But most normal people, most reasonable folks would at least say, okay, you know what? A certain level of decorum is required. Yeah, it's behind it's a protective thing, and it's probably a reproduction. It's probably a dummy version, and the real one is in the vaults or whatever. But that doesn't change the fact that the intention is the same. You know, these cockamamie knuckleheads, they're terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's like the people that crazy glue their hand to the street. And then when they're, you know, the authorities come by and with paramedics and whatnot, and they're chiseling away their hand and they're crying, oh, that hurts. Yeah, good. I'm glad it hurts. Look at these bozos. Even this lady back here. Yeah, I'm with you, lady. Completely shocked. But this is, the tantrum, childish, destructive behavior that doesn't appreciate aesthetic beauty. That harkens back to the graffiti subprogram of Pinocchio. Did I miss one? No. Yeah, this bozo. I'm just going to spray paint this painting. What is wrong with people? Wow, not surprised with that kind of haircut. Nice haircut, sir, or ma'am, or they, them, or whatever. Throwing, I don't know what this is, mashed, I don't know what, pumpkin or carrot soup, or I don't know what, on a Van Gogh. Come on, man. Yeah, exactly. You know what? Somebody with a hairdo like that, not going to be the most stable person. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah, that's right. Good point. Water the tree, says people that can't create, destroy. Yeah, it is. It's just disrespectful. Again, no matter what your personal thoughts may be on this here Van Gogh painting and its validity and all that, but still, certain level of, I don't know, just act normal, man. Just act normal. What's wrong with you? You don't got to do stuff like this. Pinocchio, what's wrong with you? Hey, che ossa fai, Pinocchio? Tutto va bene? Tu es malamente? Showing this beautifully carved piano, and in the background too, I would make note that this stone masonry wall has got graffiti and all kinds of stuff scribbled all over it as well. Oh, look, a red brick. Yeah, those stained windows are just begging for the red brick. When you got $10 for a $20 haircut. Oh, wow. Well, that's the thing. Angel Dreams in the box says, I can't imagine doing anything like that. No, most rational people would just be like, okay. Like, you don't get it. Like, I guess they got up in the morning, right? They sat up in bed or on their friend's couch or wherever they're living or sleeping. And they sat up and they reached around in the cushions of that sofa or that Chesterfield, the couch, the settee, and gathered up enough coin to go to the Starbucks to get their non-dairy caramel frappalappa napa kappa trappa sappuccino with medium foam, not too hot, with 2.5 shakes of organically sourced cinnamon. And they say to themselves, as they're typing it angrily on Twitter X, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go to the museum and I'm going to throw carrot soup on the Van Gogh exhibit. Yep, that's what I'm going to do today. I believe I made my point. You know what I'm saying? It's just very strange. Kathy Broughton, what the hell is a Chesterfield, by the way? Well, you might know him as a cigarette. But a Chesterfield is a sofa. It's a couch. It's a settee. It's just a highfalutin Canadian word for a couch. It's a Chesterfield, you see. That's how we do it up here, eh? Told you before, Kathy. Okay, us Canadians have such an inferiority complex that we have to make ourselves seem extra fancy by default, right? Some countries have an official language. Oh, we're Canada. We have 2 official languages. Huh? And we don't just build a dome with a cupola on it. No, we build a dome with a cupola with another dome on it. And we don't just have a couch or a sofa. No, it's a Chesterfield. We don't just drink syrup. It's maple syrup, and it can only come from a maple tree, damn it. That's why we have to keep reminding people that, yeah, Canada's huge. It's way bigger than the States. But then that inferiority comes in. Oh, but we're still only the 2nd largest country. But then we got to make up for it with, well, we got the most fresh water and the most shoreline in the world, and we got the least population density according to square kilometers, eh? And we got polar bears. Just trying to make up for stuff. Anyway, getting back to Pinocchio here. Look at the look on his face, by the way. He's totally bought into it. Hook, line, and sinker with his red culottes and his little plume. Eh? Yeah, there you go. There's a modern day equivalent. Defacing the statue of old Queen Vicky here. Ever I say hello, loyal subjects? 'Tis I, your rightful and ruler and royal monarch, Queen Victoria, and we are so not amused by the defacing of our likeness throughout the realm. Thank you and good day. Disgusting. On her mammary glands and her private area and her face. Come on, man. No matter what you think of the cool British Empire, what do you gotta do this for? It's been there for a long time. Just leave it be. Oh, not George. Not George, too. Painting George red? Oh, come on, man. Not poor George. Tobacco Row. And the kids are just running in there to smoke the tobacco. Again, take note in the background of the turret-like tower with the dome on it. And there's another one. There's another dome. This looks like a huge dome, maybe. And some other big, massive tower with tech on it in the background. Big arched doorway here. And of course, because, 1940s and Disney, they got to have the cigar store Indian for some reason, I guess. Excuse me. Anyway. But yeah, basically they're big giant pillars holding up whatever this monstrosity is here. Big giant pipes, cigars, Tobacco Row. And they're tripping over each other to get into this place. But I just found these interesting as carvings or as statues, as big, massive means of support of this structure in the background. We often see statues in front of everything from, private homes and old world dwellings that have been repurposed to what we're told are more ancient times and far off deserted lands. But massive carvings. These lines are huge. I mean, if you think this is your average size residential door height, approximately 7 feet. These lines are going to be themselves 3 feet, and it's, this whole thing is 5 feet off the ground, man. That's pretty impressive for a couple of quote-unquote lawn ornaments. I'm sure these are massive, 20 feet. But it kind of reminded me of this building. What's this, in Detroit, I believe? Is this in Detroit? Detroit? Well, that's just it, too, isn't it, Vaughn? Many, what we would call Indian or indigenous, American Indian or Canadian indigenous people's faces all over, not only Masonic buildings, but what we're told are that's sort of post 20s architectural movement, that sort of new Art Deco style. But those native supports in that Pinocchio kind of reminded me of this sort of imagery, even though this is clearly some kind of Norse figure. I'm pretty sure it is Detroit because there's an automobile. But of course, same thing in the religious structures as well. Big, massive statues, carvings. Usually flanking a big, ridiculously huge and tall entranceway. And often they'll remove these statues from these niches and they'll just leave them empty. They might leave the pedestal. They might leave some of this iconography. But they'll chisel out these statues and remove them. Look at these big imposing figures. Again, ridiculously tall entranceways. A lot of times I think these Art Deco buildings are older than we're told, and they've just been refacaded in that quote-unquote style to help to propel the next stage in the building of the new timeline. I mean, that's just me kind of spitballing and thinking out loud, but, you know. Ah, there it is. Thank you, Terry. Guardian building in Detroit. Steve Q17's trying to guess with the Joe Rogan. Quit playing. He likes to play. That's fine. Let him play. He's good. He almost got me with the Joe Rogan thing. And I was like, wait, the math doesn't math. The math doesn't math. Ah, there you go. There's your indigenous First Nations, quote unquote, Native Indian iconography right there. Oh, for sure there, eh, bud? You'd be saying they really stand out. Yeah, with this gray stone. Very, very eye-catching. Look at this sort of, what do you call that? Like a herring, almost like a herringbone design. Even if these are just giant tiles that they're just attaching to the side of the building, you know, with some kind of adhesive, construction adhesive or something. Because I suspect that these are facade tiles. These, what we're seeing here, they're not big, huge blocks. I think in the old pre-reset, pre-cataclysm buildings, they are big, giant blocks of various sizes. But these are just facading stones, a couple inches thick, maybe as much as 8 or 10 inches thick. I see that all over here in Calgary. And after a while, if it's broken away, you see red brick underneath, or you see old stone underneath. Well, you gotta keep people on their toes because they're like, wait, what year? That doesn't make sense. Dragon Sage says it looks magi-like, which kind of lends to what Vaughn's saying here. The tribe of Judah. I've heard theories, I guess, shall we say, that the Mississippi Delta is actually the Nile Delta, and that the mound builders are the Egyptians, and, you know, all of that. And it's very interesting thought experiment. But I thought this was as well, with some of these images that we see in modern day that either harken back to a pre-reset or an old world time, or are of the pre-cataclysm stages of civilization, or again, they reflect of, and they're being destroyed or falsely represented or mocked in some way in movies on celluloid. And in this case, it's marketed as Disney always was, and I guess in some form or another will continue to be marketed towards family viewing. Good wholesome family viewing. As in my personal opinion, they haven't been that in a while now, Disney themselves, yikes. But as a child of the 1970s, seeing stuff in the 70s, but seeing rerun Disney stuff from the 50s and 60s, even stuff from the 40s. I mean, compared to today, it was relatively harmless. I'm sure, as in any other propaganda and, funded and controlled pop culture inserts, such as, cartoons and big companies like Disney. I mean, there's always going to be some kind of occulted messaging there. But it's not like it is today, because there's no covertness. It's definitely overt in your face these days. I mean, it's stuff like this and this compared to just the subtleties in the background of Pinocchio's being a scamp. He's being that little scallywag here. But, I mean, it's the destruction of all the hallmarks of the old world. The aesthetically pleasing, the form meets function, the craftsmanship. Just, looking at something, you could tell, hey, these folks, they kind of gave a shit. Whereas these folks just do not give a shit. All they give a shit about is their Baskin-Robbins flavor of the month social justice campaign. And it goes back to some of this subtle stuff that we see as, the thumbing the nose, if you will, at the old world on celluloid. So there you go. That's last of that folder. So thank you once again to Terri Light, who's in the box in the chat right now, for hipping a fella, hipping a cat to that very, very interesting set of clues, or getting back to horrifying fairy tales, the Hansel and Gretel. Where was it? Breadcrumbs? Horrifying breadcrumbs. And again, that's just scratching the surface. And that's just one quote unquote harmless family Disney cartoon film from 1940. But I quite enjoyed that, and I think this is going to be a new series here that we can explore once in a while on the live show, is the old world on celluloid. In fact, I kind of already have the next one in mind, and I'm not sure when. Maybe we could do this sort of once a month or once every couple of months, revisit this. We can make it a thing, kind of like the pedestrian oblivion thing. A reoccurring theme, and a reoccurring subgenre in the genre of the show. A sub-series in the series, if you will. If you will. So yes, thank you very much, Terry. Appreciate that. And again, as a reminder, if you got show ideas, or if you got some cool old photos of the town or city you live in, or some video footage, or anything like that, you want to send it my way, links below how you can get a hold of a guy, as well as links below where everything we discussed on the show. So I think I'm getting ready to wind it down here. We're coming up on 2 hours. Just have a last smoke there, eh? Don't smoke though, kids, eh? It's not good for you there, bud. Even if you get the 100% pure native tobacco cigarettes that I get from my Blackfoot Indian friends. It's still not good for you. But anyway, before I go, I like to, speaking of sharing stuff with a guy, I like to share some humorous stuff at the end of the show here, because a lot of times this subject matter can be kind of heavy. That's why I like to kind of goof around a little bit, have a little bit of fun with it, and kind of knock it down a few pegs, make the subject matter approachable, and so that we don't go away angry. You know, just like to have a little bit of fun.
You know what I mean? All right, we're having a good time.
So, you know how it is. And that's kind of like that's how I like to kind of wind down the show. And I mentioned send me stuff because Kathy usually sends me some good stuff here. Oh, and this reminds me, by the way, last week, technical difficulties with the interwebs. And it was supposedly because it was raining. And apparently that has now been remedied. Fingers crossed for good luck or whatever, or catch a black cat by the toe and throw a penny at it and put a horseshoe on a rabbit's leg. I don't know. Knock on wood. Everything's okay now. But I was going to give you the Canada Goose update, and we were having some problems toward the end of the show. So I don't know if this one made it through or not. But about a month and a half ago, I had a Canada Goose on my rooftop. And I went out onto my balcony to enjoy a beautiful day. And, well, I got the bejesus frightened out of me, to say the least. And I couldn't go out on my balcony for a few weeks. I just couldn't. But the geese have now moved along. So I filmed this a couple of weeks ago. This is when I was headed to film that railroad bridge that I recently put up on my channel, that old steel trestle railroad bridge that goes over the river. So this was me on the bike path on my way there. And the geese they nest where they want to nest, and they raise their young where they want to. And if you don't like it, that's on you, bub. So I didn't get the geese attacking anybody because, I don't know, I was right there. If it attacked me, I would have kept it on film, but I didn't want to capture it. This is just a quick few seconds. But they've moved on, and the babies have gotten big. So you'll see here the male, as people start walking by, the male will step out in front of the goslings, the Ryan goslings, the baby gooses, and the male will start flipping his head around. And that's step one of a warning. It's like, hey, he'll flip his head around. If that doesn't work, he'll hiss at you. Yep, hiss, like a snake. If that doesn't work, he'll flap his wings and honk a few times. And if that doesn't do it, well, he's coming at your face. Oh, there it is. See, that's where you got to just keep moving. Do not approach the cobra chicken. Do not approach the Canadian goose, especially with the babies there. See, and the baby knows how protective and territorial the parents are, because that's just to the left of the aggressive adult. That's a baby. And he's just walking around like he owns the place, because he knows that us humans are terrified of the cobra chicken. Those murder turkeys will get you. So they're doing fine. They're doing well. They've moved on from attacking me on my balcony to now going to the city parks down by the river and attacking. They're just really, what they're doing is a goose is playing the numbers game. Okay. They're vicious and territorial. It's just their thing. They're again, it's the overcompensation of being Canadian. Okay. They're protected up here. We're not allowed to hurt them up here as Canadians. Americans can blast them out of the sky in hunting season. Canadians, nope. We're not allowed. And it's like they know it. So yeah, they're very protective. very territorial. So what they do is, because it's in their nature, they just, I'm up on the roof of this building and there's only a couple of people up here on their balconies and whatnot. But if I go down to the city park, there's literally thousands of people on their lunch breaks that walk by, jog past, get on one of those stupid electric scooter things, whatever. So the goose knows. The goose knows. And they are just, I'm telling you. Yeah, Sage has got it right there. Yeah, they'll bite you. Yeah. They have webbed feet, right? But they also have talons on the end of each toe or whatever you call it, you know, on their foot. There's a claw. So they come at you with their clawed feet coming at your face and their giant wings smacking you on the other side of your head. It's absolutely, absolutely terrifying. And it hurts like a sumbitch. It hurts like a sumbitch. You know what it reminds you of? It reminds me a little bit of, remember when you were a little kid and your mom would give you a bath, but she was in a hurry because she just wants to get you down. She knows it's going to be a struggle to bath you, you know, bathe you before bedtime, tuck you in, read you a horrific Pinocchio story, kiss you on the forehead, shut off the lights, and off into dreamland. Hopefully you coast. She knows it's going to be a battle. So she's running roughshod and trying to get her done. And the aggressiveness of the goose reminds me of the aggressiveness of mom bathing us as kids. Well, let me show you. Kathy sent me this. Let me show you. Come on, man. This kills me every time. I've seen this like 10 times, and it kills me every time. Come on, man. Oh, come on. That is too much. Woo! Anybody who's got siblings and you're sharing that filthy ass bathwater together, you know what I'm talking about. Mom's just trying to get you off to bed so she can get an hour or two to have maybe a glass of wine and just just deflate a bit after chasing you around all day or whatever, right? Oh man. Yeah, it's those Australian, they're Italian guys, but they're Aussies. And yeah, they're hilarious. What can I say? They're absolutely hilarious. There's another one where it's mom brushing their hair. They do a lot of, oh, my Italian uncle does this, my Italian uncle does that kind of stuff, and it reminds me of my Greek uncle. So take that for what it's worth, I guess. Oh, man. Anyways, let's see what else we've got here. We're on a roll with these. So what else have we got? Oh, yeah. Speaking of mischievous little boys from Pinocchio and aggressiveness, we might as well finish it off here. This last one. This is a mischievous kid and his mischievous dad. Well, let's just let the video do the talking.
Do it. Oh, boy.
Do it. Do it. Oh boy. Maybe he's looking a little more like Dennis the Menace, but than Pinocchio. But well, he's got the short pants on like Pinocchio. But you get the idea. So some Nestle Quick on a spoon in a drill. This is genius, by the way. This is genius level stuff. I highly encourage you to do this. This makes a short work of otherwise tedious chores and projects. You're the kid. Yes. Yes. The anticipation is killing this kid. You know what? Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. I paused it too much.
Do it. Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, that did not end well. That didn't end how I thought it was going to end. Oh, I love the irony of the safety goggles, but up around the kid's forehead. Kind of reminds me of the stupid face diapers we all had to wear, but people just always had them under their chin. Kind of serves the same purpose. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. What's going on here? Dragon Sage in the box says, my niece and nephew found a huge container of Nestle Quick when they were kids. I was sleeping over in the living room. They were covered in it. It was everywhere. They had eaten about half of it. Oh, they would be so wound up after that too, man. So wound up. You thought he was going to spoon that right into that kid's gullet, didn't you, Kathy? Oh, wow. Oh, I just like how that whole thing just, yeah. Ridiculous. Anyways, there you go. Okay. Wasted enough of your time. Thank you very much. Your generous time. Thank you so much for joining me here. New West Reset. New West Reset Live. Episode 125, The Old World on Celluloid. Let me know what you think of this series. Is this one to keep going with? I kind of explored this a little bit when I was had a chat with Lucius Aurelian, speaking of LA, where we kind of looked at the old world in film and science fiction. And I kind of looked at some Canadian content. And it was weird kid shows, weird science fiction children's shows. So again, aimed at children. You got to start them young with the propaganda to get them to turn into mullet-wearing Van Gogh paint soup destroying people or whatever. I don't know. So again, if you haven't already, as a reminder, please do all the things. Helps to push me out. Appreciate that very much. Projects coming up, road trips now that summer's here. Absolutely. Got my feature documentary film coming up very soon. So keep your eyes on the channel, you know, for the notifications that don't work. There'll be more information as we get closer to release date, and then there'll be some official trailer, an official trailer, at least one. Still doing the walkabout tour with my coworker, my buddy, who's a Freemason. You know, he's just going to show me where all the buildings, the old buildings that they claim to have built in old-timey Calgary. So that'll be coming up now that the weather's a little bit more stable and the rainy part of the summer is slowing down. And other road trips and stuff going on for Boots on the Ground. Again, every Friday on the channel and every Wednesday you get the vintage footage. We'll see you back here next Sunday for the live show, Stampede show. And in between today and next Sunday, Tuesday is Canada Day, July 1st. And I'm going to do a live show this coming July 1st for Canada Day. That's a Tuesday. So that's just kind of a special edition show. I think we'll just look at some old photos of old world, what I call tartanadia, Canadian Tartarian inspired looking buildings built between the 1860s and around 1900-ish. And we'll have a little fun, hang out on the nation's birthday here in Canada land. So until then, take care out there. Have yourselves a good one, and we'll see you on the next one. All right? Cheers, everyone. Thanks a lot.
It's a mystery! It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma!